Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Google Digital Garage. My name is Zoe. I am going to be taking you through social media strategy today. Just a few things before we start. First of all, if you're having any problems seeing or hearing the stream today, the best thing that you can do is just refresh your page. That usually fixes most of the issues that you might face. If you're still having problems, you can go to the bottom right-hand corner of the YouTube video. And what you'll see is a little cog there. If you click on that cog, you'll be able to access your YouTube settings, and you should be able to fiddle about with those and hopefully make it so that you're able to see and hear everything okay. So, as I mentioned, my name is Zoe. I'm one of the trainers for Google's free skills training program, which is the Google Digital Garage. I've been working in digital marketing for nearly 10 years now, coming up on 10 years in October. I have worked in a number of different places in the sector. I've worked for other companies, I've worked for myself. And one of the things that I frequently work with people on is their social media and forming a strategy for that to work out what exactly should they be posting, how should they be phrasing it, things like that. So I'm hopefully going to share some of my knowledge, share some of my expertise with you today. But I'm not doing it alone. I'm also joined here today by Na. So they are our moderator for today. And what that means is that she's going to be in the chat. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, and also if I've got any links that maybe would be worth sharing with all of you. That's why we have a moderator to share all of those things. So keep an eye out for that and make sure you're saying hello. And obviously thanking her for her time, because it's been, I'm sure, will be absolutely wonderful. Before we start, and one other thing is that we do have a wide range of different Digital Garage courses. If you would like to learn more, if you'd like to go to one of our other webinars, you can find a link to all of our courses in the chat. Not in the chat, sorry, in the video description. My mistake. And yeah, if you click on that, you'll find all of our different webinars. They're all completely free, just like this one. And we do them on a range of different topics. So hopefully you'll find some really excellent places to learn and some excellent topics that you can learn more about. So today we're going to go through social media strategy, and we're going to do it in 3 different stages. So we're going to start by looking at how social media is actually useful to you. How is it going to help you grow your business? How is it going to help you achieve your goals? Then we can look at actually creating that strategy, the actual physical process of sitting down and working out what to do. And then we can look at some tips, some tricks, some tools, just a few little things that you can do to tweak your social media strategy just to improve it that little bit more. And just so everyone is aware, we do also have free one-to-one mentoring available. So if anyone would like a full hour-long session with a Google Digital Garage trainer, just like myself, you can sign up for it at g.co/UK mentoring. Just hit that link or type that URL into your search bar, and you'll be taken to a place where you can sign up for your free mentoring session. There's no catch. You don't have to sign up for multiple sessions or anything like that. You just get a free mentoring session where we can help you out with anything at all that you're struggling with online, whether that's getting your business online, dealing with your Facebook ads, dealing with your social media strategy, setting up a website, anything that we can help you with, we would love to be able to help you. So do take advantage of that. Again, completely free, hopefully very useful for everyone. So let's start off by looking at how social media can help you grow your business. We hopefully are all aware of the impact that social media has had on everything, on our communication, the way we talk to each other, the way we share news, the way we share entertainment. Social media's drastically changed that. But obviously, as a business, it's providing you with an opportunity. It's providing you with an opportunity to potentially connect with a wider audience and really understand your audience as well. So just a few statistics here. First of all, we've got 44 million active social media users in the UK. That's out of about 70 million people. And now when you consider how many of the 70 million people in the UK are too young to use social media, you're very young children who won't be on social media yet. And of course, how many in the UK who are maybe a bit older and who aren't interested in social media? You can see that amongst the kind of sort of 13 to 50-year-old demographic, social media is pretty much used by almost everybody. It's very few people don't use it at all. And in fact, on average, people use social media for 1 hour and 54 minutes a day. I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you. It maybe doesn't sound like a lot at all. I think I definitely spend more than an hour and 54 minutes on social media every single day. In my defense, some of it is for work, but some of it is because I like to lie in bed and watch TikToks. It is something that we spend a lot of our time on. And that's important because if that's where your audience is, that's where you can reach your audience. That's where you can find who they are. You can learn about them and you can connect with them. So if that's where they're going to be for an hour and 54 minutes of their day, that's a very important place for you to also be present. Of the 44 million people using social media in the UK, most of them are on both YouTube and Facebook. YouTube, we tend not to think of as a social network, but it absolutely is. We've got about 85% of the UK is a regular user of YouTube, and then about 78% is a regular user of Facebook. So those are the two biggest social networks at the minute. Or at least I think these are 2016 statistics, so they might be a little bit old. So how do we generate more sales? Social media can absolutely help us do that. You can reach audiences that maybe you wouldn't have reached before. Again, with up to 84%, 84% of the UK adult population is on social media. That means that's a huge, and that's just the UK. That's a huge population that you can connect with. That also means that you can connect, there's nothing saying you can't connect with people from across the world, of course. Think about how many people you follow on social media from America or Canada or Australia, other English speaking places. Or if you speak a second language, or if English isn't your first language, then again, you might follow people from other countries all around the world. Again, these audiences are up for grabs for anyone who is on social media. It can create new opportunities for you as well. It lets you connect with customers in a way that traditional marketing isn't very good at. But social media marketing is excellent at it because you can have those conversations. You can talk to your audience and have those conversations, make it a two-way street. You don't just want audience members to comment on your social media posts. You want to be replying to them. You want to be commenting back. You can target specific types of customer. This is especially true with paid social media ads. You can target people based on their age, their gender, their location, their interests, other aspects of their lifestyle. Think again about Facebook. How many of us here have told Facebook when we got married or when we're in a relationship? There was that famous, you'd have your relationship status on Facebook and people would put, it's complicated sometimes, but they would also put when they were in a relationship with specific people. And that means that Facebook's got that data. Facebook can say, well, these people are in relationships. These people are married. These people maybe have bought their first home because they, again, posted about it on Facebook. They put a specific thing on Facebook saying that they've done that. So you can target them with ads. And of course, we can build those relationships. We can network with other people. So yeah, it's an incredibly useful tool. Of course, we can also add value to your brand using social media. We can increase our customer service levels. That's a really important thing. You can chat to your customers. And that means if they've got a problem, then they can come straight to you on social media and get a response. They don't have to call up a hotline. They don't have to, email you and wait for days for a reply. They can message you on social media and get a response pretty much straight away. And that means your customer service levels should be really, really good. Because you're able to respond to people quickly and easily, and they're able to connect with you and communicate with you without much effort. And again, that's what these two-way conversations are for. You can you can talk to people. They are going to be able to comment to you, but you can chat to them. You can show a side to your business that maybe you wouldn't have been able to show without social media. You can show people, things like, hey, this is behind the scenes at my business. You can talk about recruiting. You can talk about basically anything. And that means that you can show your business's personality, which is really, 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 really useful. Because people don't support brands just because of the products or just because of the services. They support brands because they like that brand's personality, which might sound a bit paradoxical because, brands aren't people. Brands don't really have personalities. But they do, because the words that you use and the pictures that you put on social media, the way that you communicate, all of that comes together to form your brand's personality, and then people can connect with that personality. That's a really important part of social media marketing, is showing off your personality. And of course, building your own community. Your customers can chat to each other. Your customers can build a community on a social network. You see this a lot on places like Reddit. Reddit is a website that some of you may have used, some of you maybe have never used, but it is a place where anybody can set up their own, what's called a subreddit, and it's a little sort of community, a little forum for a particular topic. So you can form a subreddit around a brand that you like, around a product that you like. You see this a lot with films, with video games, with board games, with books. If they get popular, they grow their own little community, and you'll find them in spaces online. And that's a really great way that you can market your business. You can improve your marketing in other ways with social media. So, for example, have you ever Googled something and the result that came up was a tweet or a Facebook post or a LinkedIn post? That is, when you put your business on social media, you're giving search engines another place where they can find you, and another place where they can find the things that your audience is searching for, if that's the sort of thing you're putting on social media. So you might find that you're able to be found on search engines better just because you're on social media. And of course, you can use social media to try and attract people onto your website. You can post about new things you've got on your website, new content, things like that, and get people over there, get people to come to visit your website. You can gain insights. Now, this is an aspect of social media we don't think of enough. But again, we can get loads of good data about our audience from social media. We can learn exactly, what's the gender balance of all of your followers on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. What percentage of them are male, what percentage of them are female, what percentage of them are maybe non-binary or another gender. And that's going to be really useful marketing data. So it's not just about what you post on the social network, it's also about what you can learn from it. And then you can keep an eye on your competitors' social medias. You can ask them. You can look at your competitors' social media accounts. You can look at their Facebook accounts, their Twitter accounts. You can think about what they're doing well and what they're maybe not doing so well. And see if there's any things that you can do better than they're doing. See if there's any things that they're maybe not doing that you could do, and maybe get some customers off of them. So things that you can ask yourself. Number one, what kind of updates should you be posting? That's a really important question. What should you be posting? And that's probably the fundamental reason why most people make a social media strategy, is to learn sort of what should you post. Are your posts on social media driving people to your website? That's really important. Your followers are really useful, but are they getting you any business? Are they actually translating into sales? That's a really important question to ask yourself. And you can't learn the answer to that just from social media. You are going to have to combine it with analytics and things like that. But if you can find the answer to that question, that'll be incredibly useful. When is the best time to engage with your audience? The time there is really important. When is your audience on social media? There's so many social media posts flying about nowadays that it's actually quite hard to get noticed. If you post something on social media at 3 o'clock in the morning, unless your followers are sort of teenagers, they're probably not going to see your post. But people are going to see your post if you can post it when they're online. So think about things like, does your audience get a lunch break at work? If so, is it at a regular time? Because that's a good time usually to post on social media. Usually between 12 and 2 is a good time to post something, because a lot of people are on their lunch breaks using their phone. The commute. So first thing in the morning when people are traveling to work, between sort of 7 and 9. And then at the end of the day, between sort of 5 and 7, are again good times to post, because that's when people are traveling. They may be on buses or trains or in taxis, and they're again able to use their phones. And who are your most influential followers? Because those are the people who people will listen to if they give a good review of your product or your service. So they're very good people to have on board. Remember, we are dealing with your audience has a very short attention span. People think that our attention spans are about 8 seconds nowadays, but on social media, there is some estimates that it's actually 3 seconds. So you only have 3 seconds as you're scrolling through social media to grab people's attention and go, hey, look, like this is something that you should look at. There's loads of competition. Again, if you post at the wrong time, it might be that people don't see your posts. It's not always free. It can always be free. So you don't have to pay anything, but often it can be a really good idea to pay. Just because things like paid ads are really, really useful for marketing. So it can be worth spending a little bit of money to really gain some valuable marketing space. And then, of course, once it's public, it's public. I really want to emphasize this. It doesn't matter if you delete a Facebook post or a tweet, because somebody can screenshot it. So if you put something online that doesn't represent your views, that maybe doesn't portray you in a very good light, even if you realize straight away, oh, I shouldn't have tweeted that, or I shouldn't have put that on Facebook, somebody could have screenshotted it. People will see it. And that means that it is going to be public knowledge. So you've just got to really remember, there is no way to go back on anything that you put on social media. Once it's out there, it's out there. So you have to make sure every single post that you put on social media is absolutely representative of you as a business and absolutely reflects your values and your views. So we've got a question break. Don't think we've got any questions at the moment. Let me just look. Nope, doesn't look like we've got any questions. I'm going to take the opportunity to have a water break. As you can probably hear, I'm losing my voice a bit. So yeah, I'm a little bit croaky. I need a little bit of more water than usual. So how do we actually build a social media strategy? How do we go about taking the knowledge about, all of those questions that we asked ourselves, all of those questions that we asked the business? How do we build that? How do we turn that into something really useful? So here are some of the key steps that you can take. These are the 5 key steps that will take you from not having an audience, maybe not even having a social media account to begin with, to having a good defined strategy that will let you really, really, really find your voice and post the things that you want to post the things that are valuable to your business. We're going to go through each of these steps in turn, but just briefly. We're going to start by defining our audience. Then we're going to set our business goals. We're going to work out what we hope to achieve from social media. Then, and only then, are we going to choose our social media platforms. This is a really, really common mistake people make, is that they go, okay, I want to start. They start out by saying, I want to post on Instagram. I want to have a really good Instagram account. But actually, until you've worked out who your audience is, and worked out what your business goals are, you're not going to know what social network is the best for you. It might be that your guess is right and that actually, yes, Instagram is the right one for you. But what happens if your audience just doesn't really use Instagram? Maybe your audience is more present on Facebook. Well, in that case, Instagram's not the right choice for you. Or maybe your business goals just don't match what Instagram is good at. Maybe your business goals are to be respected as a blogger. Well, Instagram's a very visual social network, so blogs and text, not really where it's going to succeed. So it's only after we've worked out our audience and our goals that we then choose our social networks. Then we can find our tone of voice, and then we can decide what success looks like. And that's really important because we want to be able to measure everything. If we're not measuring, we don't know whether we've succeeded or not. So really, really important to know what success is going to look like. So we start with defining our audience. Who are they? That's a big question. Let's start with the basics. Gender, age, location. Doesn't have to be too specific. Gender can be between, not gender, sorry, age can be between 25 and 32. There we go. That's our age range. That's our age group. We're not being super specific. We're not saying the average age is exactly 28.7 years. We don't need to do that necessarily. We just need to know a vague idea. Most of our audience are in their late 20s. Most of our audience are female, for example. And again, the gender balance, if it's roughly equal, then we don't need to pick a gender. We can say that our audience is a mix. Location, well, are they based in cities? Are they based in the countryside? Do they live in the suburbs? Things like that can be very useful. And if you know specific locations, maybe all of your audience is in London. Well, okay, well, then you can start posting London-specific things because your audience is going to relate to that because that the majority of them are based in the same city. So there are all these things that you can learn that will help you understand your audience. Some of this stuff is going to be educated guesswork, but we can use data to really help us here. If you've got Google Analytics set up, you can get data on your audience. You can get data on their interests. If you've already got a decently established social media account, you will be able to learn more about your audience from that. Your analytics for Twitter, analytics for Instagram, Facebook page insights. All of these will tell you some of this information about your currently existing audience. It obviously only tells you about the audience that currently exists, though, not the audience that you could have in theory. So then we need to think about things like what they're into, what are they interested in, what influencers do they follow? Again, we've mentioned this before, but when are they online? When are they on social media? And which social networks do they use? Again, some of this we can guess. Some of this we might be able to get from for example, their age and their gender. Facebook, the audience in Facebook tends to skew a little bit older. I think the average age of a Facebook user is in the mid to late 40s at the minute. Younger people tend not to use Facebook, not nearly as much. So if you're younger, you're more likely to be on Instagram or TikTok. YouTube is a social network that's used pretty much by everyone across the board. But again, it has got a very young audience as well. Twitter tends to be sort of people in their 30s. Instagram, again, you're sort of looking at a younger audience, but also a decent proportion of what you might call Instagram mums. Lots of mums use Instagram, so you've also got a built-in audience there of people in their sort of late 30s to early 60s, usually women who are very big on Instagram. So there are different audiences within that. It's not a good idea to just go, oh, well, TikTok is just for kids. So my audience is in their mid-30s, so we're not going to bother. There are actually niche audiences on all of these platforms for all of these ages, pretty much. You just have to find your niche. So do have a look at that and do think about that. There are different ways that we can define our audience. Number one is we can speak to people. If you have a physical business, if you have a business that you actually get to see your customers and talk to your customers, you can talk to them and understand their interests, understand what they need, what they're interested in. You can identify the groups that are most interested in your offering. Once you have some of that data, you can work out, okay, well, you know what? Whenever I talk to men, they're really interested in this range of my products. So that range of products obviously really appeals to men more than women. As an example, that's what we mean by segments. It's taking a large audience that you have and splitting it into separate sort of distinct groups, so that you can work out, okay, well, how we can market better to each of them. You can even build a survey. So there are tools like Google Forms is a tool, SurveyMonkey is a tool. They are able to collect data. You could send them out to your audience and say, hey, look, if you fill out this survey, I'll enter you into a prize draw to win some of my products or something like that. Or if you enter into this, if you fill out the survey, I'll give you a 10% discount on your next shop or something like that. And then you can learn about your audience directly. You can ask them, what are your interests? What do you do? What social networks are you on? Then again, we have got Facebook page insights, Instagram for business, Twitter for business. Pretty much every social media platform has got some form of analytics built into it. You can see that we've got, this is from Facebook page insights. I'm going to get my virtual laser pointer up. We've got a split of the genders here. And the age. In fact, both of these, we've got age and gender. So you can see on this one, we've got 67% of this person's audience is female and 33% is male. That's really worth knowing. You can see the same data presented, or I think the same data, or very similar data presented here. We've got a pie chart here of the gender, male and female. Oh no, actually in this one, it's around 67% male and 32% female. So that's showing you that there is a gender bias in both of these accounts, that one of them appeals more to women, one appeals more to men. We've got the age here in a nice little bar graph. You can see that the biggest age is 25 to 34. Nearly 40% of the audience is in that age range. But we've also got a decent sized bar here between 18 and 24. So between these two bars, that's about 2/3 of the audience is between 18 and 34. So that's the age range really we want to focus on, skewing a little bit more older towards the 25 to 34 mark, especially because we've still got a decent chunk here that's between 35 and 44. So we can learn about our audience from these insights. You can see we've got hard, solid data here saying 67% of your audience is male. That's valuable. That tells you about your audience. Then step 2, we can define our goals. Now, there's one of the goals on this slide that I really don't like, and it's the third one here. Generate more sales. See, the thing is, that's every business's goal. Every single business wants more sales. That's the reason why businesses exist, or it's the thing that keeps them existing. I have a couple of businesses. I have some side hustles alongside this that I do, and some of those, I have some social good businesses. I say business. I have one social good business. I do something that I think is really, really valuable, and really important to my community. But we still have to charge for it, even though I would rather not charge for it, even though I think it's something that I want everyone to be able to access. It has costs. I have to pay rent on our premises. I have to pay for some of the people that we get in to help with the community work. We can use volunteers and stuff like that, but ultimately some expertise needs to be paid for. I've got equipment that I need to buy. So I need to charge, I need to make those sales, because otherwise I can't afford to keep that business going. So even if you've got a business that is running because you've got a sort of a social good that you want to keep going, pretty much every business still needs to make those sales, because you will have costs. So you can maybe keep your prices as low as you can, but you still need to make those sales so that you can afford to run your business. So it's not a very helpful goal because it applies to everybody. Really, we want our goals to be specific to us. What I'd like you to ask yourself is not, do I want to generate more sales? Because yes, of course you do. The question you need to ask is, why am I not already generating those sales? What is it that your business is not doing very well that you could improve on, that could be the way you get those sales? Why aren't you getting those sales? And that's what the rest of the 4 are. Maybe you're not getting those sales because your customer service is rubbish. Well, then we need to give better customer service. Or maybe your audience is confused. Maybe they don't really understand how to use your products, so they're not going to buy it. Well, again, that maybe comes under customer service. Maybe you need to help people understand why it is that your product is good and how to use it. Maybe not enough people are aware of your products or aware of your business. Maybe they just don't know you exist. Well, in that case, we need to grow that awareness. Maybe when people do learn that you exist, they make that purchase. Maybe you've got loads of attention on social media, but people aren't going onto your website. Well, then we need to think of a way that we can get that to happen. Maybe we've got people who know you exist and who follow you, but they don't really engage with your content. Well, maybe that's something that we can fix. We can produce more engaging content. Again, maybe we just don't have enough reviews. Maybe we've not got enough trusted reviews from people who will influence our audience. In that case, we need to connect with more influencers. So you can see the way that we get sales is through these other goals. So work out what you're not doing, work out what you maybe where your weak points are, and then you can do your best to shore those up. To set a social media goal, we can use this framework, which is called the Double Diamond Framework. There are 4 Ds here. We start with discover. That is working out what your goal actually is. So let's say our goal is to raise awareness of our business. Nobody knows we exist. Well, we have a few very dedicated customers who love our product, love our service, but most people don't know we exist. And we're pretty confident that if people learn about us, they will become dedicated customers. So that's our goal. Define. We need to identify some barriers. Maybe it's not clear what we do from our business name. Maybe we just don't have a very big social media presence, so we're finding it really hard to grow organically. We need to learn what those barriers are. We need to work out what it is that's stopping us from achieving that goal. Then we can list what we need to do to achieve the goal. So we want to build awareness. So what we need to do, we need to grow our social media following. We need to grow our SEO as well. We need to be more discoverable on search engines. And then we can deliver, which is work out how to mitigate the barriers that we identified. Maybe it's that our business name isn't very memorable. Well, we can change the name we trade under. We can have a bit of a rebrand, or we can put it in our social media handle. If we sell biscuits, if I had a company that was called Zoe Incorporated and I sold biscuits, it isn't very clear from the name Zoe Incorporated that I sell biscuits. But maybe I could, as my Twitter handle, could be Zoe Biscuits. Or the title of my Facebook page, Zoe Incorporated Quality Biscuits, or something like that. I don't know why I'm using biscuits. I think I'm just hungry. But we can, that's a way that we can get over that one barrier that we thought of. So that's the way that we can do this. We set these goals by discovering the goal, defining the barriers, developing what we need to achieve it, and then delivering by working out how to mitigate our barriers. Step 3 then. What social network should we use? We're going to go through all of the social networks now. Not all of them, sorry. That was just a blatant lie. We're going to go through the big ones, the big, I think we've got 7 here. And we do need to choose these carefully. We need to think, well, first of all, are we selling to, it says here, business focus or lifestyle focus? You might have heard the terms B2B or B2C. Which is business to business or business to customer. Basically, are you selling to other businesses or are you selling to individuals? If you sell biscuits, as an example, you're selling to individuals. If you sell corporate biscuit packages for meetings, so that when companies bring in important clients, they've always got high quality biscuits ready to go, well, then you're a business to business company. Because you're selling that to businesses. And of course, the same company can be 2 different things. If you're a biscuit company, and you could sell to individuals and to businesses, but you would need to market that carefully. Maybe you could be on multiple social networks and market differently depending on which one you're on. So we do need to think about what the focus of our social strategy is going to be. We need to think about where our audience is. We need to think about what social networks are good at. So let's have a look at them now. Twitter. is not great at the minute. In all full honesty, Twitter's a bit of a difficult social network to recommend at the minute. You might have heard last year that Elon Musk bought Twitter, and since then, a lot of changes have been happening. Some of them seem to have scared advertisers away. Some of them seem to have made the social network a little bit harder to use, a bit more toxic. People are reporting that they're getting more sort of hate speech and things like that on Twitter. So it is a difficult one to recommend right now. Hopefully, it'll come out of this and it will be a really great one to use in the future. But right now, things are just a little bit uncertain, so it's maybe one to avoid just for now. But if you do want to use it, it is still a very good social network at a lot of things. It's good for quick conversations. It's good for being silly. It's a very humorous social network. A lot of people go on Twitter because they want something silly. They want to be entertained with jokes. So if you've got quite a humorous business, then that or a very tongue-in-cheek kind of voice, Twitter is a good option for you. You can see the Dollar Shave Club tweet to the right here. How often do you change your Dollar Shave Club blade? No right answers here, folks. Well, that's not true, but that's not what this is about. So we're doing a normal poll here. We're just asking people, how often do you change your razor blade? But we're doing it a little bit cheekily. There's no right answers. Well, that's not true. A little bit of a joke there. Is that's very Twitter, having a little bit of humor. And then just down here, every single shave, once a week, once a month, or I'm a fan of razor burn. You're as the option for more than once a month. Again, we're being a little bit cheeky. That's what Twitter's really good for. It's very good for engaging with other people's content because you don't have to follow them necessarily to see their content. You can retweet. If someone says something about your business, you can very easily retweet that, and that's kind of understood and done a lot on Twitter. If someone says, "Oh, I've just sat down and had a lovely one of Zoe's biscuits," I could then retweet that and reply to it and get engagement that way. Again, like you can see, we've got interactive polls on Twitter. We can add visuals. It is a good social network for a lot of things. Again, the main reason I hesitate to recommend it at the minute is just because there's a lot of uncertainty around it. But it is still a very good network. Facebook is the sort of the OG, the original social network. You can do loads on Facebook. A lot of people treat it a bit like a business directory. So you can put your opening hours there, your contact details. You can communicate with your audience directly. They can directly message you. You can link your website there. You can have a call to action button there. You can even sell directly through Facebook. And of course, you can share different types of media on Facebook. So GIFs, videos, images. It's a very interactive social network. So it can be very useful. Again, the audience for Facebook is a bit older. The main audience, again, the average age, I think, is around 40, mid-40s to 50 at the minute. I might be wrong about that. I just vaguely got that idea in the top of my head that that's the age. I'm sure I read that somewhere. But yeah, so it is a bit of an older demographic, so it's worth bearing in mind. If you're looking to capture a younger audience, they're less likely to be on Facebook. But again, if you are looking to capture an audience that's a bit older, sort of 30 years old and up, Facebook's a great place to do so because there is a large audience there, and it is still a massive social network. Like, again, 78% of the UK in 2016 had a Facebook account. So you're still dealing with, most of the UK is on Facebook. Instagram is another massive social network. It is primarily for videos and images. Images at first, but now they've added reels, they've added stories, so it's easier to share videos through Instagram. It can be anything, but it has to be visual. You can see we've got Letterfolk here. One of the things that you can do on Instagram that's really, really good is to have a consistent brand image. So you can look at those pictures and you can see, even if they weren't all together on a page like that, you would still be able to see, oh, okay, these are all the same business. This is all the same brand, because the way that they have they've framed those images and the way that they've taken those pictures is so similar. So that's really useful. You can use hashtags on Instagram, and I would say that Instagram is the most important place to use hashtags because Instagram's algorithm uses those hashtags to recommend your post to other people. However, Be sparing, be specific with the hashtags. You want your hashtags to be really clear about what exactly you're posting about. So you don't want to put 30 hashtags on there that are too vague, because Instagram won't understand what you're trying to say. So be specific with your hashtags. Try and limit yourself to around 10 is what I would usually say. LinkedIn, we've not really talked about. LinkedIn is the professional social network, pretty much the only professional social network that exists and is used in a big way. It is a place for you to basically put your CV and to post about work. It's a great place for people who are looking to improve their career, because a lot of recruiters are on LinkedIn. But also you can get your employees to become brand advocates. You can talk about the things that you're doing as a business. It's a really great place to share thought leadership. Now, thought leadership is a type of content where you're basically telling people, here's what I do. Here's the way that I do business, or the way that I think about life. And here's why I do it. And here's why you should do that too. That's thought leadership. LinkedIn's great for it. People love that stuff on LinkedIn. You can, put things like, I've stopped having meetings and instead I go for a bike ride with my clients. And here's why I do that. And here's why you should do it too. That's the kind of thing you would see on LinkedIn. That's the kind of thing that you have a lot of. That's a good place to put it, is LinkedIn. YouTube, we don't tend to think of YouTube as a social network. We think of it as a video sharing site, but it is actually the largest social network in the world, because it does have all of those social features. You get to create your own account. You get to comment on other people's content. You can directly message people, I think. So you do have a lot of the same functionality of a social network on YouTube. It's also the world's second biggest search engine. It's kind of a website that does everything in a lot of ways, because people search for different videos. If I was looking for an academic paper, if I was, or a history fact or something, I would go to Google. But if I was looking for something practical, like how to bleed a radiator or how to cook a souffle, I'd go straight to YouTube and search for it there, because I know I'll get a video representation. I'll get a visual example of that thing. And then I can follow those instructions. So that means that, again, if you've got shareable content, if you've got good content that people would be searching for, YouTube's a great place to put it. Think about how to use your products or service. If it's a physical thing, then YouTube's a good place to put videos of, like, here's how you use our product really well. Here's all the cool things you can do with our product. So step 4, hopefully by now you've worked out which social network you want to be on. You've got your audience, you've got your brand goal. We can look at your social voice. And this is things like, it's basically the language that you speak with when you're on social media. How are you going to sound? What tone of voice are you going to use? And also visual things. When are you going to use your logo? What colors are you going to use? I've got, again, one of my side hustles is an Instagram account. Everything is black and white for me. That's my brand guidelines, is that I keep everything black and white. I won't bore you with the details of what the business is, but I think it works really well with the type of business that I'm trying to cultivate and what I'm trying to achieve. I think it is a very good way of marketing my business. So I use black and white for pretty much everything I put on social media. A good option is to use do's and don'ts. So say, I am going to use these words. I'm not going to use these words when I'm on social media. Example that we use in a different webinar is an Italian restaurant might say, I'm not going to say hello. I'm not going to say hi. I'm going to say ciao. That's an example of a do and don't. That's what we're looking to create. We're looking for examples of tone like this. Do you want to be friendly, or do you want to be provocative? Do you want to be fun, or do you want to be serious? Do you want to be formal, or do you want to be casual? There are different ways to do each one of those things. Think about the adjectives that would describe your business. What kind of person would your business be if it was a person? Would it be funny? Would it be helpful? Would it be friendly? Pick maybe 3 adjectives to describe your business. Here's a really great example of tone of voice. This is the This Girl Can campaign. This was on social media. It was on physical billboards. It was huge. And you can see it's a little bit cheeky and it's quite provocative. Under these gloves is a beautiful manicure. The reason that is provocative is because it's based on the assumption that if you do something like boxing, then it's a very masculine sport. It's very manly. So if you do boxing as a woman, you must also be a bit masculine. And it's challenging that and saying, I can be very feminine and still box. There's nothing about boxing that's inherently makes me masculine. You can do these things and be feminine. I love the final one, sweating like a pig, feeling like a fox. I think that's fantastic. Again, like challenging the idea of like what beautiful is and whether you should care about beauty standards and being proud of getting that kind of sweat on. Again, really, really good. I love this campaign. So step 5, our last step, we need to define success. We need to work out what does success look like for you, because you're going to want to measure that. Think about your goal. Think about what would be an indicator that you've succeeded at your goal. Is it the number of people who are going to your website? Is it the number of people who follow you on social media? Overall, it's probably going to be sales is what you want to look at. Are your sales growing? But look at the things that you're trying to do and whether you're achieving them. Because your sales might not be growing, but that might be because what you're doing isn't working. Again, maybe you want to raise awareness, and a way you could measure that is with the number of people who see your social media posts. So you start putting things on social media and your sales haven't grown. But if you look at your data, maybe your reach hasn't grown either. Maybe people still aren't seeing your social media posts. So it doesn't mean that your overall strategy is wrong. It just means that your tactics need to change. The individual little things that you do to achieve your goals might need to change. But you do have to measure this stuff, because otherwise you'll never know whether it's succeeding or not. And you'll never know whether you should keep doing the same thing or if you need to change. Do think about paying. So paid ads, they do get a bit of a bad rap, but they are useful. They give you more reach. If you want to reach somebody who doesn't already follow you on social media, paid ads are the only real ways to do that. Well, depends on the social network, but for the most part, the easiest way of getting people who don't currently follow you to see your social media posts is to use a paid ad. That's pretty much true across every single platform. Instagram is probably the best one for not paying. You can reach a lot of people organically on Instagram using hashtags well. But Facebook, I would say, if you want to succeed on Facebook, you pretty much have to use paid ads at some point. It's very hard to grow organically on Facebook. So it depends on the platform, but pretty much all the time, you are going to get something out of it if you pay for ads, especially if your goal is sales and growth. Most ads are pay per click or pay per view, which means you only pay when someone clicks on the ad. So the ad will usually be a link to your website or maybe to like your social media page. But it means that if your ad isn't a success, if nobody wants to click on your ad, well, that's okay, because you don't pay for anything in that case. You only pay when someone clicks. So you only pay when the ad is actually working, not if it doesn't work. So it is fairly low risk, and you can set yourself a defined budget as well. You can say, like, over the next 2 weeks, I'm only going to spend £20 on ads, and you can tell the ad manager that, and that's all it will spend. So you can have a lot of control over your budget. So it's not as simple as like I have to pay hundreds and hundreds of pounds for ads. It can be quite cheap. The more you pay, the more people will see your ads, but you can do it still for cheaply and still get some benefits. So bringing all of that together, we've defined our audience. We've worked out who they are, what interests them, what's important to them. We've worked out what your business goal is going to be. I said goal singular. It is a good idea to only have one goal. Otherwise, you can get a little bit confused, trying to do too many things. We've decided which social platform we're going to use. We've worked out what our tone of voice is going to be, and we've worked out what does success look like for us and how are we going to measure that. So pausing for some questions. Still doesn't look like we've got any coming through. I'm going to crack on in that case with the last one. We've only got a few more slides to go, but I've only got 10 minutes to do it. So it should be fine. So we're going to finish off with some of the tools, tips, tricks, and best practice for social media. And one of the things that we need to think about is the kind of content that you can share. So there are loads of different types of content. Here are 6 options. Announcements. So we can say, we've got a new product out, hooray. We can be non-promotional. So maybe instead of selling our content, instead of selling our products, we might say, here's what the business is like behind the scenes. We're not selling the product directly. We're just showing you what the business is like. Could be product or brand related, could be tips or tricks, could be responses. So you might engage with the customer and influencer. If you reply to them, then that is still content on social media. Could be operational. You can use social media to recruit. So you can say, hey, we've got jobs going at our warehouse at the minute, if anyone would like to apply. And you've got recurring content, which is seasonal sales, things that you do the same sort of time every year. Overall, though, the most important type of content that you can share, and the thing that you should think about whenever you share any kind of content, is it valuable to your audience? Does it provide them with something valuable? Because they're not going to want to read your content just because it's your product, your service. Unless they already love that product, they're probably not going to be that interested in it. So you need to provide them with something valuable, and value can be anything. It could be you can get value from content that is interesting, content that is educational, content that's funny. There's all sorts of value. Content that's useful is a good one. So again, like tips and tricks to use your product. This is all, what you should be thinking about is value. Does this provide value to my audience? Because if it doesn't, they're probably not going to bother with it. So we need to be thinking about that value at all points. You want your customers to share. You want them to be advocates, which means that they are reviewing, they're talking about your product, even when you're not asking them to. So we really want to encourage sharing. We call that user-generated content. That's because your users are creating it. You're not creating it. Your customers are. So try and encourage them to engage with your brand. Loads of companies have said, it's in fact, no, I tell you what, the really good things that companies have done. So do you remember that Coca-Cola had that campaign where they put people's names on Coca-Cola bottles? They said a Coke for Jeremy, a Coke for Matilda, a Coke for Zoe. Why was my own name the third one I could think of? And people shared that like wildfire on social media. Every time, they go out, they'd go, does anyone want anything from the shop? And their coworker would go, oh yeah, can you get me a Diet Coke? And they'd go out to the shop and they'd find one with their coworker's name on it. And that coworker would then post that on social media. Can you believe Zoe got me a Coke and she found my name? That's the kind of thing that's very shareable. People love sharing Starbucks cups. Starbucks goes, oh, it's autumn. We've got our Christmas cups out. People love sharing pictures themselves with the seasonal cups. So that's another example. We're creating content that people want to share and want to talk about. So tips for getting content being shareable. Use graphics. We are visual people. We love visuals. So try and make sure you're being as visual as possible. Canva.com is a really good website for graphic design if you want to create something visual, but you're not sure how. If you go to Canva, there are loads of different templates that will show you sort of the kind of content that you would want to put out, show you how you can make your content visual. You will want to check your grammar. There's a tool called Grammarly. That's GRAMMAR.ly. And that is a spelling and grammar check for your internet browser. So as you're putting content into Facebook or Twitter or whatever, it's checking your spelling and checking your grammar. And that's really important because we do want to seem professional at all times. So we don't want to make spelling mistakes. We don't want to make grammar errors. But obviously, not everyone is completely perfect at spelling and grammar. I know I'm not. Plenty of people have trouble with that. Plenty of people have dyslexia or something like that. So a tool like Grammarly is really useful just to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. And then, of course, there are other tools to manage your social media accounts. So Hootsuite, Buffer, Later, all of these are tools that let you schedule your social media posts in advance, which means you're able to get all of your social media posting done first thing on a Monday morning and plan out your social media posts for the whole week, or even further in advance. It means that you're not having to constantly scramble and go, oh, wait, I need to post on Instagram. What do I do? It means that you can set aside that time and plan it all out and schedule them using these post schedulers, and then they will automatically post on your behalf when you tell them to. So you've got the knowledge. Now, what can you do to see it in action? Well, you can set goals for your strategy. Remember, we want really good goals. We want to be able to say, like, this is what we're going to achieve with our social networks, with our social media content. We need to define our tone of voice. Again, really, really important. What are we going to say? How are we going to sound? We've got a webinar on writing for social media that goes into that in more detail. So if you do want to learn more about excuse me, sorry. If you do want to learn more about how to create a tone of voice, sorry. Nearly got to the end without coughing, but didn't quite manage. But yeah, if you want to learn more about how to get a tone of voice, then our webinar, Writing for Social Media, you can find in our video description all of our webinars. Check that one out. It is very, very useful. And of course, choosing the right platforms. Remember, it's not about what platform you want to be on. It's about what platform your audience is on. So it might be that you only use Facebook, but your audience isn't on Facebook. Well, it might be that you have to go out of your comfort zone and learn how to use Instagram or something, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get an audience. You're not going to be able to talk to your audience. And that's why we do this. So those are 3 goals. Those are a little bit of homework that you can do as a result of this webinar that will help you really improve your social media strategy. So we're at our final break for questions. Again, I don't think we've got any. No, looks like we have got no more questions. Fabulous. So we can move straight on to your next step. So what is it that you can do next? Well, one thing that you can do is sign up for another webinar. We've got all of our webinars, again, are in the link in the video description. Sign up for Writing for Social Media. That will really, really help with some of the concepts that we've introduced today. If you're interested in social media for yourself, then you can go to Build Your Personal Brand Online. That's another really good webinar. If you're looking to build followers as maybe an influencer, or maybe you're looking to build grow your career, and you want to use LinkedIn a little bit better, then Build Your Personal Brand Online is a great place for you to go. We've also got our mentoring, of course. So free mentoring is available from Google. All you need to do is go to g.co/UK mentoring, and you will find that you can sign up for there. It's available to anyone who works as part of a small business or a charity based in the UK. And again, there's no catch. It's completely free. You get a full hour-long session with a Google Digital Garage trainer to help you out with anything that you need help with. And we're always more than happy to help and give you a go. It doesn't have to be Google-based. Again, if you want to set up Facebook or Instagram, or you want to run some Facebook ads, but you're not sure how to do that, we're more than happy to help you with any kind of digital marketing things that we can help with. So that is everything. We finished a couple of minutes early for once for me. I'm usually a couple of minutes late. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it's been really useful. If you would like to leave some feedback, we have a link there on the screen, goo.girl/digital garage feedback. Really helps us out to learn what we're doing well, maybe what we're not doing so well. And you can tell us, and it would be really helpful for you to do that. So if you do get a chance, fill out our feedback form. We would absolutely love that. And other than that, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being such a great moderator tonight. Make sure you're leaving some thank yous in the chat. And yeah, I have had a wonderful time presenting this webinar, and I hopefully will see you on another one at some point in the future. So take care, everybody, and goodbye.